Alright, we'll continue our discussion on the details of the building plans. So here, this is already structural sheet number 3. We have here a schedule of beams. So the schedule of beams is like a tabulated representation of the details of the beams. So for example, we have here the footing, FTB means footing tie beam, B1, B2, beam 3, and then this one, the details DB1, DB2, and also this one. We haven't checked this yet in the framing plan. So all this appears in the framing plans, and the um, the cells here, we have the section at support, okay, the section at mid, and then the stirrups. Okay, so when we say section at support, it just means that the details here around the support. So this is the support side, the support, then um, in this mid section, that's the mid span. Okay, so support, support, then mid span. Okay, so for the footing typing, it says, so we can also check back to the structural sheet number 2 here in foundation plan number 1 S-2. So it's, you can find the footing FTB, footing tie beam. So the details of this can be found in the schedule of beams. Okay, so it says that the number of bars on the top is 4 pieces 25 mm. Then at the bottom, that's 2 25 mm at the support. But at the mid span, we have um, 220 mm, and then we have 420 mm. So the graphical illustration is that we have 4 bars on top, then 2 bars at the bottom. But at the mid span, we have this. It's the opposite. So we have 4 bars here and then 2 bars on top. Okay, and the detail of the stirrups, that 10 mm. Okay, 5 at 50. Okay, so that means we have 5 spacings at 50 mm. So we use 10 mm bars. It's this. Okay, so this vertical lines, this is what we call the stirrups. So it says here that at support, um, for the footing tie beam, okay, so that's the footing tie beam. It uses 10 mm rebars, that's the diameter of the stirrup, and then the spacing is 5 at 50 mm, then comma 5 at 100, and then the rest is 250. Okay, so you would notice that here. So 5 at 50 mm, so meaning that the spacing is narrower as compared to the spacing at the mid span. Okay, so it says 5 at 50 and then 5 at 100. So this is it. Let's say 100, and then the rest is 250 spacing. So that's the spacing from this stirrup the vertical this vertical line to the adjacent vertical line. Okay, so that's it. So if we um, check, for example, another one for the beam dash 1. So we have to look back the structural sheet number 2. So this is the typical floor framing plan. So we have B1, B1. Okay, so the B1, the details for B1 says 4, okay, 20 mm. Okay, so 4 bars on top, and then 2 bars at the bottom. But uh, the diameter is, okay, it's just 20 mm in these drawings. Okay, so it's the same again, but the spacing we have to check. So that's it. Okay, so this is the typical rebar detail, details of beam. So we have this column, the columns, then columns, interior column. If you see a continuous beam, then it just means that the column here is an interior column. Okay, so this is the exterior because there's none here. And in some drawing plans, it also shows a cantilever type of beam. Okay, so um, if we zoom in, we can see a cut bar, so, or they term it as extra bars, so cut bars. So it terminates here. There's a bent hook, 90 degrees hook, then it terminates up to this point. So the distance is it is specified as 0.2 L1. So this is the span of L1. So it's just 20%. In some building plans, they express it in terms of something like L over 4 or L over 3. Okay, so that depends, but here it's expressed in terms of um, decimal. Okay, so 0.2 L1, and then there is also another cut bars here at the bottom. Okay, cut bars that's along the mid span, and then at this support side again, you will have a top bar, cut bars or extra bars on top. But if it's an interior column, then it is continuous until the point 2 L2. Okay, so it will terminate again at this point 2 distance. Okay, and then another uh, another cut bar at the bottom, and then another cut bar on top. So that's the cut bar. So the details of this or the explanation is that you can check this out in the uh, bending moment diagrams of a fixed support structure. Okay, so those are the cut bars, but you'll also notice a continuous bars here. A continuous bars, it says bottom bar continuous, so there's a continuous bars, and then there's also another continuous bar on top. Okay, so of course, since our bar is just like, I mean, typical bar length is 6 meters, then you're going to have some splicing. So here in the drawings shows the splicing here. Okay, so what else? So for the columns, um, it's also shown in this manner, a schedule of columns or tabulated representation. So here we have C1, meaning column 1, and then column 2. So at the roof deck, ground, and then foundation. Okay, so we can refer back to structural sheet number 2. For example, the foundation plans, we have C1F1. Okay, so column 1, then the details for column 1 is this. So it says 700 by 700 dimensions, and the details is 16 pieces, 25 mm vertical bars with 10 mm ties spaced, rest at 200. Okay, 4 sets from support to mid height. Okay, so lateral ties is just the same as the stirrups, but the primary purpose is for holding the vertical bars. Whereas for stirrups, its primary purpose is to resist the shear forces. Okay, so the schedule of footing. So sometimes footings are also tabulated or expressed in terms of this, the schedule of footings. If you see here, F1, that's footing 1, footing 2, footing 3, and 4. So you can refer back to the instructional sheet number 2, or you can find where that exists or where that footing occurs. It shows the dimensions, the length, width, and thickness. So, and then the number of rebars. Okay, so the rebars in this building plan it also shows like this in this representation. So meaning the bar, because the bars in the footing has to be both ways. So the bars here allow this direction, and then another bar allow this direction. Okay, so that's it, I guess. Okay, so now let's move on to the plumbing sheet. So we have P plumbing sheet number 2, 3, 4, 5. What else? 6. So where's the P number? P1. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so for the plumbing sheets, this is plumbing or sanitary sheets. What's included is an isometric plumbing water layout. Okay, so an isometric view showing the pipings, the pipe runs, and the I think the details of the fittings, pipe fittings. Okay, so that's in isometric, and it also includes plumbing notes, specifications, then plumbing legends. Of course, if they're using symbols, then it has to have legends as well. Okay, and a detail of catch basin for the rainwater. This one, the cistern details, and water supply layout. Okay, so water supply layout for the ground floor, and then this one is the typical second to eighth floor water supply layout. Okay, so let's check. Okay, another one is the septic tank section. So the septic tank has to be included in this plumbing sheet. So what's the size, dimensions, and the details of the sections and stuff like that. Okay, so next there's also an isometric for the sanitary layout. Okay, sanitary layout again, and sanitary. Oh, okay, that's it. Sanitary layout. Okay, what else? We have drainage layout. So basically, one is with regard to the water supply, so the input water supply to the building, and the other one is about the pipings and the fittings. It's about the drainage or the outflow of water. I mean, from the building to the wastewater. Okay, so the next sheet is the electrical sheet. Okay, so let's start with E1. Okay, so E-1. So this is electrical sheet. It shows a general notes and then the lighting layout plan, lighting layout plan for the electrical layout. This is actually one part, the lighting, which includes the location of the lighting fixtures and the switches, and as well as the branch circuits. Okay, so for example, we have so if you can see here, we have one PB-1, so meaning that panel board dash one, so meaning that these lightings, so these lights, they're connected in one branch circuit. Okay, so another one is 2 PB-1, meaning panel board dash 1. So they're connected in one branch circuit as well. Okay, and then this one should be, I think this should be the location of the switch. Okay, another electrical layout is with regard to the convenience outlets. So that's what we call the power layout. So it shows here the convenience outlets, and then the the branch circuit for that convenience outlets, and as well as the number for the panel board. Okay, so PB-4. Okay, so it has also legends. Okay, what else? Okay, so I guess this doesn't show an example for the schedule of loads for the computations, for the wire sizes and the protection devices. So it's not included here, but you'll also find that out in some building plans. It's also typical. It's common that to have that uh, the schedule of loads, and then the riser diagrams and how is it um, connected from the distribution supply. Okay, so from the service point to your protection devices, and then to the outlets. Okay, so it's it's just that it's not included here. Okay, so I'll also like to include this one, the F1. This is what I said for the mechanical plan, except that this is specifically for the fire equipment. So since this is a building, then fire plan is, I think, necessary. Okay, so they have F1, F2, what else? That should be F3, and F4. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's all for now for the topic of the building documents and I mean building plans and other documents. So we'll move back to our lecture um, in a while. Okay, so now um, we'll discuss our final topic of this lecture number 2, which is the sign and seal for the AB engineers. So we have a scope of practice. As an agricultural and systems engineers, we have scope and practice as specified in the Republic Act 10915. So the scope of practice um, related to agricultural buildings and structures are the following. So example, preparation of engineering design plans. Okay, specifications, that's number 2. So specification is another set of documents that basically anything that can't be expressed in terms of drawings, then yeah, uh, it's uh, it's expressed in these documents. Okay, so for example, the type of finishes, the work quality and stuff like that. Okay, number three, estimates or bill of materials. Then project studies and feasibility studies. Uh, and what else? Supervision of construction. And supervision on the operation and maintenance. Okay, so actually you can check the Republic Act 10915 regarding this. It has listed or enumerated various scopes or other scopes in practice. Okay, so I also like to highlight one important thing is the seal and use of seal. Okay, so in practice, all drawings, plan specifications, um, they are actually signed and sealed. So you need to have a dry seal, and when signing, the following are needed. Okay, so the PRC number or the professional. So what you need if you sign is the professional license number, duration of its validity, and then professional tax receipt number. Okay, and some other details. Okay, so you can also check the details of this in RA 10915. Of course, for other professions, they might have other necessary requirements. I don't know, but the point here is you can't sign if, for example, this is specified. I don't know, structural sheet, and then the one should sign here should also correspond to the what's allowed by the building office. So, for example, civil engineer or structural engineers. Then for the electrical sheets, probably uh, electrical engineers. Okay, so I'll just finish my topic with that. Okay, I know there's a lot of questions regarding that kind of stuffs, but for us here, um, we'll just study. We'll just learn how to prepare a building plan. I guess that's what's requirement for. That's one of the requirement of this course. Okay, so I hope you've learned a lot. Um, the next topic will be the structural analysis. So again, structural analysis is an important aspect for the structural designs. But since we don't have much time, then uh, we'll just discuss the basic principles, the foundations, and say the structural supports, the deflections, and stuff like that. But then we'll move on to the uh, we'll do more on the software. We'll use software for analyzing structures. So even indeterminate structures, we can actually solve that. Okay, so that's all.